I am Ibrahim Abalde, and this is QTV News coming to you from our studios on Kairaba Avenue. Thanks for joining us. And now here are the main local, international and sports news headlines. In a busy diplomatic engagement at the State House, President Barrow on Tuesday received the letters of credence of 5 ambassadors to the Gambia. The Directorate of Health Research under the Ministry of Health on Tuesday briefed the media on its maternal mortality rate findings based on a survey conducted across the country. On the commemoration of World Blood Donor Day, the WHO country rep Dr. Desta Tirune has urged Gambians to donate blood and save lives. In international news, President Muhammad Buhari has promised Nigerians free, fair and transparent electoral process when Nigerians vote in presidential elections next year. In sports news, the Gambia men's volleyball team lost all 3 games at their first ever FIVB Beach Volleyball World Championship appearance in Italy. Those were our main headlines, and now the news in detail. Welcome back. In a busy diplomatic engagement at the State House on Tuesday, President Adama Barrow received the letters of credence of 5 ambassadors to the Gambia, all of whom pledged to foster relations with the Gambia through development cooperation for the country. Mahmoud Lamin Choi reports.
In a formal ceremony, 5 ambassadors arrived at the State House to present their letters of credence to President Adama Barrow. The ambassadors are from Guinea-Bissau, Mexico, Hungary, Israel and Rwanda. The presentation of their letters of credence officially marks the beginning of their ambassadorship in the Gambia. For us to present is the ambassador of Guinea-Bissau, Luis Domingo Camara de Barros. Guinea-Bissau-Gambia relations date back nearly 50 years. Gambia is accredited in Guinea-Bissau, where she is represented by an ambassador.
I believe in the few months ago, our 2 people, you will see some change in our bilateral cooperation. Since yesterday, we start to work with the Superior Direction and Minister of Foreign Affairs to take place the 4th Joint Commission in our 2 countries.
Next to present is the ambassador of the United Mexican States, Enrique Escorta Zamujo. Mexico-Gambia relations are close to 50 years of diplomatic cooperation. The new Mexican ambassador wants to transform and strengthen the bilateral relations between the 2 countries to be more fruitful and mutually beneficial.
And I found in the President of the Gambia a fantastic friend and an ally that understood perfectly at the perfection the feeling and the message that the President of Mexico wanted me to convey, that we're here to really work together, shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand, with the people of the Gambia.
Following the Mexican ambassador is the ambassador of Hungary. Gambia and Hungary have been diplomatic friends and allies for more than 60 years since 1971. Another diplomat to meet the head of state to present his letters of credence at the State House is the ambassador of Israel, Ben Borzel.
Israel and the Gambia had a lot in common in terms of challenges but also in terms of solutions, and we pledge to focus on efforts on meaningful cooperation such as in the field of agriculture, irrigation, water management, health, stability and security. I look forward to continuing working here.
Lastly, and the second ambassador from Africa to present a letter of credence is the ambassador of Rwanda, Jean-Pierre Karabaranga. Rwanda is one of Africa's fastest growing economies with a development model that is widely admired across the continent.
It's a big pleasure to explore the opportunity that we can fast track actually to strengthen the bilateral relations between our 2 countries in many sectors, in doing business, in ICT, in education, in security, in air transport, in tourism.
Following the presentation of letters of credence, the new ambassadors will be working closely with the Gambia government to represent the interests of their countries of origin and foster relations and development cooperation with the Gambia. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, QTV News.
The Directorate of Health Research under the Ministry of Health on Tuesday briefed the media on its maternal mortality rate findings. Based on a survey conducted across the country, Loli M. Kamara attended the event and she now reports.
A team from the Directorate of Health Research, in collaboration with the UK Public Health and other partners, conducted a rapid study to collect locally stored data on mortality from health facilities across the country between 2016 to 2021. Mortality data was collected from all public and private health facilities across the Gambia, including 39 private health facilities, 56 public health facilities, and 106 community health nurses. The aim is to help create more accurate and credible baseline information on mortality to be able to estimate the impact of COVID-19 pandemic in the Gambia, and as well as changes in mortality from January 2016 to June 2021 to generate baseline information to support ongoing mortality surveillance in the Gambia. Seni Sane, the Director of Research at the Directorate of Health, gave the summary of the survey.
There has been a consistency and steady trends in all cause of mortality in the Gambia over the past 5.5 years. And the average rate of mortality in the Gambia over the past 5.5 years was 1.9 per 100,000 population. The mortality rate was much higher among the males in terms of gender compared to our female groups. And the age group 45 years and above, particularly those within the age bracket of 65 and above, and the age categories with the least rate of mortality was between the age bracket 5 to 24 years. Generally, the rate of mortality in the Gambia has declined through the pandemic by 10.3 per 100,000 population, though a slight excess mortality was observed during the second wave of the pandemic.
In terms of our regional variations, Director Sane gave these statistics.
Western Region 1 has greatly experienced a reduction in mortality during the pandemic, with a very minimal excess deaths in the second wave, which is about 4.8 per 100,000. For Lower River Region, equally noted similar trend during the both waves of the pandemic. However, Central River Region, North Bank East Region, and North Bank West Region had the greatest burden of excess mortalities during the pandemic, including both waves 1 and 2.
After the presentation of the study's finding by Joseph Dabul-Jata, Senior Health Officer at Directorate of Research, took questions and comments from participants. They urged the research team to never relent in their quest to providing accurate data. The report will be shared with stakeholders for further comments and recommendations. For QTV News, Loli M. Kamara.
Loli Kamara there. Now, on the commemoration of World Blood Donor Day, the WHO country rep, Dr. Desta Tirune, has urged Gambians to donate blood and save lives. More in this report by Ajibintu Drame.
World Blood Donor Day is commemorated on the 15th of each year. The theme for this year is Donating Blood is an Act of Solidarity, focusing on the urgency to increase the number of donors. Donated blood can help treat and support people suffering from chronic health diseases and complications. Dr. Desta Tirune, WHO country representative, says a blood service that gives patients access to safe blood and blood products in sufficient quantities is a key component of an effective health system.
Blood shortage is particularly acute in developing countries across much of Africa, and the Gambia is no exception. Here, much like the rest of Africa, up to 54% of blood transfusion is given to women and children, who are among the most vulnerable populations in the world.
Dr. Turune states that adequate and safe blood can only be assured through stable, regular and voluntary unpaid blood donors. Every year in the Gambia, 15 to 20,000 units of blood are collected for blood transfusion purposes. Out of this figure, only 24.1% accounts for voluntary or unpaid donations.
Although the Gambia, in comparison to other West African nations, has one of the highest rate of donation in the region, with 7.2% per thousand donations. None of the 16 West African countries have reached the WHO benchmark of 10 whole blood collection per thousand population needed to maintain a stable flow of blood supply.
In efforts to support the Gambia government to expand the blood transfusion services, the WHO has expanded 11 major health centers and tertiary hospitals across the country. A blood bank has also been established at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, which stores and delivers to other hospitals in the country. However, Dr. Turune says the blood stores are not enough, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic.
I want to sincerely thank those selfless Gambians who have chosen to donate the precious life-saving gift of blood to patients in need of blood transfusion. I also want to acknowledge the tireless effort of the blood service staff who are deeply committed to maintaining critical blood supply of research and development professionals, pursuing new technologies and uses for donated blood, and as well as medical teams who use blood rationally to save lives.
More WHO collaboration with the Ministry of Health to update the clinical guidelines and implement policies are on the pipeline, Dr. Turune says. The WHO country representative emphasized the need for Gambians to go out and donate blood, reiterating that just 1 unit of blood can save the lives of up to 3 individuals in need of blood transfusion. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
Well, let's keep donating blood. The life you save might be your own. We'll now go for a commercial break. When we return, we have more local, international and sport news stories. Do stay tuned.
Qcell company bu ëppa client yu ees yu koy jëfandikoo ci biir réew Qcell am 4G plus coverage bu gën a yaatu ci biir réew mi internet bu gën a gaaw ñetti yoon naataangoom yi kon nag toxul léegi dal di dial *335# dal di bànneexu 4G bu dëggantaan Qcell network Gambia bu ñu gën a wóolu.
Back. A 4-day regional training course for election management bodies on developing communication plans and strategies to enhance electoral stakeholder relationship commenced on Monday. The training is organized by the UNDP in collaboration with the ECOWAS network of Electoral Commission. Omar P. Jallo attended the opening and this is his report.
Organizing successful, free, fair, transparent, peaceful, credible and inclusive elections with outcomes accepted by all electoral stakeholders, including the public, remains fundamental for the consolidation of democracy, peace and political stability in the sub-region. The 4-day training brought together officials from the Gambia IEC, the National Election Commission of Liberia, and the Election Commission of Sierra Leone. Musa Balajo, representing the ECOWAS office in the Gambia, said the training is necessary to give the election commissions a platform to exchange experiences, knowledge and good practices for the consolidation of democracy in election management and the promotion of credible, inclusive and non-violent elections in the ECOWAS region.
This workshop, as we understand, it will be devoted to reviewing the communication strategies in participating EBMs, that's the election management bodies, and developing communication plans for the upcoming elections in the Gambia, it's the local government elections to be held in May, and elections also to be held in Liberia and Sierra Leone, respectively.
Enya Brown of the EU delegation to the Gambia said for election bodies to conduct democratic elections, it is imperative that they establish standards in all facets of their day-to-day operations.
Election commissions must provide timely, accurate and complete information about not only all aspects and stages of the electoral processes, but also on their policies, programs, services and initiatives. Their visibility must be guaranteed and at the same time ensure that they are accessible and accountable to the public through the creation of platforms dialoguing with electoral stakeholders on matters relating to the election.
Yesterday, the UNDP country representative said the training is a follow-up to the Economic Symposium held in Accra, Ghana in December 2021. She gave an assurance of the UNDP's continuous support to election management bodies.
The communication strategy is a cornerstone of engaging stakeholders in all critical phases of the electoral process, building public trust and creating the condition for transparent, inclusive and credible elections. It is actually one of the best electoral tools and policy itself.
The IEC chairman Ali Momar Njai said it is gratifying to the IEC to receive personnel from the sister electoral commissions of Liberia and Sierra Leone, which he said demonstrate the importance of capacity building in the electoral process of every country, adding that this will help reinforce the capacity of election management bodies and communication department staff prior to the next election in the Gambia in May 2003, Sierra Leone in June 2003, and Liberia in October 2003.
The IEC remains committed to promoting and conducting free and fair elections based on democratic principles and practices.
The training is funded by the United Nations Development Programme and the German International Cooperation Agency through the ECOWAS Peace and Security Architecture and Operations Project and co-funded by the European Commission and the German Federal Ministry for Economic Development and Cooperation. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
Well, the training would not have come at a better time. And now let's take our attention to international news. President Muhammad Buhari has promised Nigerians free, fair and transparent electoral process when Nigerians vote in presidential elections in 2023. He made the pledge during his televised address to the Nigerians as the country marked its Democracy Day. Aliou Cisse is in Abuja, Nigeria, and now files in this report.
On Monday, the people of Nigeria marked its 2022 Nigeria Democracy Day, observed annually on June 12th. Democracy Day anniversary is a public holiday in Nigeria and is an occasion to celebrate what Nigerians call the freedom and unity of our nation. President Buhari joined Nigerians, including former President Goodluck Jonathan, at the Eagle Square in Abuja, where a parade was held by the armed and security personnel. Since 1999, Nigeria has celebrated Democracy Day to mark the end of military rule and the return of power and control into the hands of those freely elected by the people. On this day, Nigerians recommit themselves to ensuring they protect and preserve the ideals of democracy. In 2018, the federal government moved Democracy Day from 29th of May to the 12th of June. This change was to remind all Nigerians of one free election after which the presumed winner along with Nigerians were denied their rights and their choice. In what is his last Democracy Day televised address as President of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari reminded his countrymen and women to never forget the sacrifices of the heroes of Nigeria's democracy during 1993. He described their patriotism and peaceful struggle as something that should guide Nigerians' actions, especially when it comes to electing their leaders and holding them accountable now and in future.
It is important for all of us to remember that June 12, 2023 will be exactly 30 years from 1993 presidential elections. In honor and memory of one of our national heroes for democracy, Chief MKO Abiola, GCFR, we must all work together to ensure this transition is done in a peaceful manner.
As Nigerians prepare for a presidential election in February 2023, President Buhari said he remains committed and determined to ensure that the next president is elected through a peaceful and transparent process. He hailed the smooth and peaceful conduct of the primaries. He advocates a mature attitude to campaigning and ultimately voting. He advised Nigerians to never see it as a do-or-die affair, emphasizing that democracy is about the will of the majority.
I will therefore take this opportunity on this very special day to ask all candidates to continue running issue-focused campaigns and to treat opponents with dignity. As leaders, you must all showcase high character and never forget that the world is watching us and Africa looks up to Nigeria to provide example in governance. The tone you set at the top will surely be replicated in your followers.
With the rise in insecurity due to terrorist activities in parts of the country, the President gave a reassurance that his government is working hard to contain and address these challenges and to ensure that the 2023 general election are safe and secure for all Nigerians. He therefore asked all citizens to support and cooperate with security agencies by reporting any suspicious characters and activities to law enforcement agencies. Reporting for QTV News from Abuja, Nigeria, I am Aliou Cisse.
Aliou Cisse there, reporting from Abuja, Nigeria. And now on to some sports news. The Gambia men's beach volleyball team lost all 3 games at their first ever FIVB Beach Volleyball World Championship appearance in Italy. They faced some of the world's best teams during the tournament. More in this report.
The pair of Seni Jao and Baibabu Jara represented the Gambia at the FIVB Beach Volleyball World Championship. Their first opponent were host Italy, an encounter which they lost 2-0, but did very well to make it a close contest, especially in the first set, as indicated by the 21-18 scoreline. Their second encounter was against the more fancied Brazil side of Schmidt and Simon. Despite losing 2-0 against the South Americans, it was an even closer affair in this game. 21-18 and 21-17 were the final scores. On their final game in the World Championship, Argentina was the opponent on Monday. The pair of Jao and Jara do not seem as strong in this match compared to their previous games in the tournament. Argentina went on to win 2-0 with scores of 21-12 and 21-14. Despite not registering a win in the competition, the Gambia team can still be proud of competing at the global stage for the first time. The Gambia team will now train to prepare for the Birmingham 2022 Commonwealth Games scheduled for July. They are in Pool A alongside Canada, Sri Lanka and St. Kitts Nevis. Mahmoudou Gajaga, QTV News.
Well, interesting there, and we wish them all the best of luck. And now, before we end, here is a recap of the main news headlines. In a busy diplomatic engagement at the State House, President Barrow on Tuesday received letters of credence of 5 ambassadors to the Gambia. The Directorate of Health Research under the Ministry of Health on Tuesday briefed the media on its maternal mortality rate findings based on a survey conducted across the country. On the commemoration of World Blood Donor Day, the WHO country rep, Dr. Desta Terune, has urged Gambians to donate blood and save lives. In international news, President Muhammadu Buhari has promised Nigerians free, fair and transparent electoral process when Nigerians vote in presidential elections next year. In sports news, the Gambia men's beach volleyball team lost all 3 games at their first ever FIVB Beach Volleyball World Championship appearance in Italy. That's all we have for you in this bulletin. Thanks for watching.